Welcome everyone to another episode of Homie Picks. This is the conference championship edition, and as you can see, we have somebody new with us today. Kev will be here stepping in for Jared, who's going to be indisposed this weekend for us. So he's going to be filling in. Kev, how do you feel?
Feeling good. Nervous as I always am before these games, and as a Bengals fan, we don't really let our guard down. So let's just say I'm a little antsy, but I'm okay.
I hear you. Well, we're glad you're here. Lou, what's up with you?
Not much, man. My Giants are out, and I knew it was going to end somehow. I didn't think we were our ass busted that bad, but damn, we got run out of the stadium. But all in all, good, man. I take it for what it was. Great season, and we need to build on it for next year.
Yeah, it was a good season, but now that you see the season's over and you saw how they ended, how do you feel about Daniel Jones now?
I feel confident. I mean, he's changing.
Really?
This is a system. This is a system that works for him. I mean, he threw to nobody this year. Literally nobody. He threw to nobody.
True. It's true.
And he still managed. So, I mean, another year in the system. I hope we don't lose any of our coordinators. That's going to be a big step backwards for him if we lose our coordinators. And he has a coach that, actually believes in him and builds a system to fit Daniel Jones. So, yeah, we're going to give him a nice 2-year contract, 3-year contract, nothing too crazy. And, let him go out there, get him some weapons.
Yeah, a 2-year I can do, but like anything more than 2 years for Daniel Jones, I don't know. I think he really is limited quarterback, in my opinion, and it kind of showed there. But
well, yeah. You can give him a 3-year and then just cut him the third. So make the 2 years guaranteed money. So there's ways around it. So I'm hoping we re-sign him because after that, there's really no quarterback out there that we can get. We're not going to get a high draft pick. So
you don't think if you upgrade, let's say, to like a Derek Carr?
Why? Why would we? Daniel Jones is more mobile than Derek Carr.
Yeah, I guess
a little bit younger. I mean, and he fits the mold of where we want to go as a quarterback that can throw and a threat to run the ball. And I want to keep it that way. I mean, he's a dual threat. He literally is a dual threat quarterback. I mean, him and Saquon were like number 2 duo with touchdowns combined. The one that beat him was Jalen Hurts, I think.
True.
I think saying upgrade. I think saying Derek Carr and upgrade is a strong word.
Right.
He might be a victim of where he was. He was just in a crappy team his whole career, multiple coaches and multiple coordinators. So I think he's better than what he's played. He's got the bad rap obviously now, but I personally would not keep Daniel Jones. I don't believe in him. I don't.
I get that. I mean, I understand what you're saying. He's definitely had bad luck. He's been on bad teams, but I feel like, if he couldn't succeed with Devontae Adams, I mean, I don't have the foggiest idea who the receivers are in New York at this point. I forgot who that guy was. I forgot who became the playoff star that first week. I don't know who it was. It was some
Cage. It was Cage, who was on a practice squad, on like Buffalo's practice squad to begin the year.
Right.
So I mean, listen. This is Daniel Jones' first time in a solid system. That the only thing missing from Daniel Jones was the coach. He went through 4 head coaches, I think like 5 offensive coordinators. That's a lot in 5 years. That's really a lot for one kid to go through and then expected to produce, especially in New York. So I think he handled it way better than compared to Zach Wilson has handled adversity. So I like Dable. I think Dable's going to tie himself to Daniel Jones, and we'll see what the next 2 years bring. So we got to sign him back. So I'm not giving him. I heard one executive want to give him $50 million, but noodles if he gets $50 million a year. I think he's going to fall in the $25 to $30 million range, and then we'll guarantee the first 2 years, and then we'll see where it goes in year 3.
All right, I can see that happening, but I don't know. I think I would take the chance. Kind of like allegedly the Jets are trying to get Aaron Rodgers. They hired his old OC, Mr. Hatchet.
Listen, oh my God, that's what the hell is going on right now? Where guys that can't cut it as offensive play callers are getting jobs.
Well,
like one that Jets cut got signed with the Rams. Like,
honestly, that Rams signing is more upsetting to me than the Jets signing, only because I feel like I'm not sure. I think Hackett might be one of those guys who's a better coordinator than coach. Similar to how like Dan Quinn has been excelling with the Cowboys on defense. Right. He was a head coach. He was terrible.
But Hackett's never been a coordinator either.
Yeah, he was.
He's in Green Bay.
He was agreeing. He was,
coordinating.
yeah, right. That's why they
Yeah.
got him.
But he wasn't calling offensive plays.
No, he wasn't calling the plays, but he was the OC.
Right. I mean,
And they draw up the schemes and whatnot. Yes. To what degree, I don't know.
you can say the same thing about Eric Bieniemy, and people keep asking him to be a coach, get coaching hires and whatnot. So,
but he doesn't get hired. That's the difference.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, that's true. All right. Well, guys, let's get down to this. Let's start with the first game that's at 3:00 Sunday. The Fighting Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the CEO's favorite team here, the 49ers. Kev, let's start with you. What do you think about this game?
This game is tight. This is like both the games this weekend are like super, super tight. With this game right here, like I think I've gone back and forth over and over again with who I think will win, and I really can't put my finger on it because like the Niners defense is serious, and then the Eagles defense is serious. So the only reason I kind of lean Philadelphia is because the only tiebreaker I could find is quarterback. And even that's tricky because, Brock Purdy's undefeated. You know what I mean? So if I have to this is one of those games where I literally just like flip a coin. But I'm going to give it to the Eagles purely because the only advantage I can find is that they'll be playing on the home field. Right. But man, this game, I don't think this is going to be, this should be a really, really like fun weekend just in general because all these games are just so close. And Vegas, I think Vegas' odds reflect that, obviously.
I agree. Lou, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I love this matchup. I mean, this is two Titans going up against each other. I think about it this way: had the Niners are a team that went through 3 different quarterbacks and still look like the best team in football. I think Brock Purdy has a slight advantage over Jalen Hurts on the sheer fact that no one's seen Purdy. Like no one has seen him outside of these 7 games, and it's hard to build a game plan against a player that you've only seen a handful of times, 7 weeks. 8 weeks, I think 8 weeks. It's tough to do that. I love the Niners going into Philly on the sheer fact that I think the Niners have way more weapons than Philadelphia does. Outside of Hurts and the 2 receivers, the running game really wasn't that strong this year. I know I had Miles Sanders as my quarterback in fantasy, and he put up duds week after week after week. So I'm going to rock with the Niners on this one. I think it's going to be a great game. These 2 games actually might be better than the Super Bowl. I've said that earlier, that these 2 games might be better than the Super Bowl, depending on who gets there, but I'm definitely taking the Niners.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I agree with what both of you guys said. Definitely is going to be a great game. I feel it's going to be a close, contested game. Yeah, I mean, defense-wise, 49ers are playing great, but Philly does have a great defensive front as well. I think they have the better offensive line, Philadelphia does. So I feel like they can bite hurt sometimes. The one flaw that the 49ers defense does have is that secondary. They do give up chunk plays, and with AJ and Devontae there, I think they're gonna get. I think Philly can stretch the field on them, make them a little bit thinner up front. I don't think they need to go. They just need to have some resemblance of a run game. I don't think they need to, get a 100-yard game out of somebody there. But if they respect the run, which I think they can do with Philly, with Hurts and Sanders, I'm leaning towards Philly on this one. I just feel like it's too tough for a rookie quarterback to go into this kind of level of game, on the road again. This will be his 3rd road game. Ask him to win another game. I think it'll be difficult. And I feel like Dallas had a little bit of a blueprint on him. They kept him down on the points. They pressured him. They moved him off his spots. He's starting to backpedal a lot, take a lot of, loss on yards with those sacks. And I feel Philly has a strong defense. I feel like they can get pressure on him, and that O-line can hold up against the defense of the Niners. I think it's going to be a tough matchup, but yeah, I'm leaning Philly on this one. So sorry, CEO. We'll see what happens at the end of the game. Moving on to the main event, which I feel would have been the best game if everyone was healthy. And obviously, we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. This is at KC. Kev, this is your team, so we're going to obviously leave you for last here. Lou, what do you think?
Man, listen, I've said it all year that Burrows is that man. Like he's been that guy pretty much the last 2 years. Had he had a solid offensive line last year, I think it'd be much different. I think he would have won the Super Bowl better prepared. But with that said, I think Joe Burrows has KC's number. Like they have yet to figure that guy out, and he's the perfect guy to go up against Pat Mahomes because he has that no bullshit, no fear kind of attitude. Like he'll come out and punch you in the mouth after you punch him in the mouth. And not many quarterbacks in the AFC have that same. You get that same grit and grind from them that you know that they're going to take a hit and get their asses right back up. And I said it all year long. I think the Cincinnati Bengals have the best 3 wide receivers in the league right now who can hit you from multi on the short slant, over the top, through the middle in the zone. And then you got Joe Mixon, who hasn't really been utilized in the postseason the way he was utilized in the season, where he carried the ball and was just dominant, especially even catching the ball out the backfield. My only concern with the Bengals is the injuries. Capcut really is a big miss for them. I think he's out this week again. Can they overcome it? I think so, because the Tennessee Chiefs defense is a real fugazi defense. They hid a lot behind an explosive offense. And that's where your mistakes get hidden. When you're up, bajillion points, you can make mistakes and no one's going to catch it. But in this game, I am going to have to say I'm going with Cincy in it, just because Joe Burrow has been that man and he's owned KC. They may have to rename Arrowhead to Burrowland. Yeah, Burrowhead.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's been a tough one for me to pick. Initially, I was all in on the Bengals. I wanted to say the Bengals. It's hard to bet against Joe Cool. I mean, he really is that guy, like he is a legit franchise quarterback. Definitely in the conversation with the top 2 QBs between Mahomes and himself. But I'm right now I'm a little bit leaning towards KC, which probably is gonna be my pick. I'm gonna take KC just because I feel like all the bad talk and the disrespect, like calling it Burrowhead and since he owns them, I feel it's gonna motivate them. Even though I hear Kelsey has some back issues, so he might be probable during the game, which could be devastating for them. So
he is on the injury report.
Yeah, so it really does depend if a healthy Kelsey comes out there. But I'm going to lean on the KC for this one. I feel like they're going to play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulders. They're being doubted right now. Mahomes, 90% Mahomes was still pretty good. So I do like what the Bengals doing. I feel like just in this, I feel like this is going to be a long-lived rivalry, and I just feel like sometimes the other teams got to lose, and I just feel like this one might be the Bengals to lose. But yeah, that no strong opinion one way or the other. Really good team. I think under normal circumstances, if Cincy was 100% healthy, I think I would take Cincy. But on this spot, I think I like KC.
All right. So, I got a couple of this game. Obviously, I've been lamenting over this for a while. All right. So number one, first thing I want to say is I do not condone the Burrowhead talk that I've heard. I do not condone it. And as a Bengals fan, again, we are still very, very new to this winning thing. So I don't want to hear that. All this, we do the bulletin board material. So the fact that we're giving it out now is very annoying to me. Not to mention, it's always the same people that's doing it. It's one guy in particular, Eli Apple, it's always he's that guy that tries to take all he does none of the work and then he wants all the credit. He's that guy. So it's very annoying that he's the one doing all the freaking talking right now.
I heard someone call him the Pat Beverly of NFL. And I was like,
that's a good
spot
one.
on.
That is absolutely perfect. Trust me, we did not want Eli Apple. The only reason Eli Apple is in right now is because our top corner got hurt. So otherwise he wouldn't even be in right now. I do not expect him to be on the team next season. But in any event, number two, I am not buying into. First of all, I don't know where Travis Kelce came up on the injury report, but I ain't buying it. So I'm not even going to waste my time thinking that he's not playing. The probable, none of that stuff. Yeah, right. And Mahomes, I don't think Mahomes is the talk. It's been talked up so much, his injury, to the point where it's like, sometimes there's way too much smoke there. It's like, nah, I feel like
they're a Paul Pierce there.
Yeah, like there's too much stuff. Exactly. So I mean, obviously I'm gonna pick the Bengals for obvious reason, but I'm absolutely nervous. I wouldn't be shocked if we lost the game purely because no matter, I think it's hard to beat any team 4 times in a row. You know, and just if we're just playing the law of averages, they got to win one of these games. You know, so don't get me wrong, if we can pull it off and we go for it, that'll be the first time I actually will start talking. I've yet to talk any junk at all throughout this season, but I think if we could pull off 4 in a row, I'll be all for it. Now, the key to the game will definitely be our offensive line. I do think it's going to be much harder to deal with. Chris Jones in particular, of course. I feel like I have like flashbacks of Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl type situation.
Yes.
And he's trying to wreck the middle of the line, and he can absolutely do it. So I do know that the Bengals employed something. They started doing something different, and they did it last game as well. Early in the season, when we started having trouble when our line wasn't gelling yet, the first time ever we started doing like more split back formations. We did it against the Jets, where we, that way we had 2 people in the backfield, a little extra protection there. And we did it again, I noticed last week when we played the Bills. So I'm thinking that they're going to try a similar approach. They're going to need it to help buy time for Burrow, because I'm just scared to death of what that defense may do. So if they can keep them upright, I feel like we got it. My fear is that the Chiefs are going to employ a specific game plan. I think it's going to be a heavy rushing game. They've lost every game because they stopped running the ball. And Isaiah Pacheco is really, really good. And if anybody's been watching the Bengals, the way you beat us is running the ball. Even that Ravens game that we skated by, we barely scraped by that Ravens game. And all they did was they ran it nonstop, and they were getting chunk plays nonstop. So if Andy Reid can stay disciplined enough and they run it with Pacheco while we're all worried about trying to stop Mahomes and dropping 8 in the backfield like we always do, they can tear us apart in the middle. So I expect this to be a very, very different game plan. I do trust Lou Anarumo to make the adjustments, but I don't know. That's what makes this game so freaking hard to pick. So I'm picking with my heart for obvious reason, and I'm thinking it'd be like a 27-24 Bengals victory is what I have in my head. But if I see after that first quarter that Pacheco, they're running the ball a lot, I'm going to be petrified. So
I hear it's hard for your QB to win when he's on the bench.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and if you think that Ravens game, that's exactly what happened. If you recall, the Bengals came out and they scored quick, and then it felt like for the rest of the quarter,
he was on the side. Yeah,
Bro was sitting on the sideline. I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. So if they do that, I mean, again, it's trouble. And if the Ravens have success doing that with Anthony Brown behind center, it's going to be 10 times worse with the Chiefs doing that and Patrick Mahomes is behind center. So we will see what happens. We'll see what that game plan looks like. But again, all the Burrowhead talk, please, I don't want that. So, I don't like it. I don't like it.
You're gonna be talking afterward next week, and if our CEO here, his team somehow survives to next week, he'll be insufferable himself. Well, fellas, I appreciate you guys coming on. We definitely have a nice weekend ahead of us here with some football. I think these games are going to be great. I mean, they're going to come down to the wire. I feel like really, really, really just pick 'em games here. You can obviously be talked into either team right now. I feel like the margin is so close. But yeah, fellas, appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming on until the last game. Wow, sucks to say it.
That's right.
All right. Thanks for having me.